Hello and welcome to episode 6 of season 2 of GPGP. I am here with Poetic and Hayley, who is one of our, I think, our third guest on the
Our
podcast.
third
No,
guest.
fourth, if we include Coach Mark from season 1.
That is true, yes.
So this is one of Poetic's friends. She has worked on different games, doing the kind of the physics and things. You can tell that I don't know a great deal about it, so I'm just going to pass it over to Hayley so that she
Yeah,
can
sure.
introduce herself a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Hayley. I basically worked for Codemasters doing sort of grid and dirt rally sort of in what's the word? Sorry.
That's fine.
Development
You're right.
QA. So I started in development QA and I worked my way into vehicle physics area, and then I ended up sort of transitioning to Bob and then working at Build a Rocket Boy for about 2.5 years, and now I've recently started at Lighthouse Games. So yeah, so that's my situation. Yeah.
So, so journey and a half.
It's a journey and a half. Honestly, that's half the details. you know.
So,
Yeah.
how long have you worked in that kind of industry for, would you say?
Um. So I started off at Cody's when I was doing my masters. I was doing my masters, and then as part of my sort of internship in between it, I did my placement at Codemasters, but it
Mhm.
really was a job. So yeah, so it was more me trying to figure out where I could use my maths degree, because me and Poetic basically met in our undergraduate. Um, so
Yeah.
I wanted to go sort of veering towards anything that was maths heavy, I think. So I was thinking about sort of computer graphics and also physics side. And I was lucky enough to meet people who were willing to help me on that
Yeah.
journey, because I was quite. I'm not shy. I'm not a shy person, but I definitely felt out of my depth when you start at a company like that and they
Yeah.
know what they're doing, and there's obviously a system and people who have done it for a very long time, and especially with programming, because I started off with maths. I didn't start it off in programming, so yeah, that was a big journey. That was definitely a big journey. But so yeah, so it was more of a guidance from people from Codemasters that got me into it in the first place. But I actually separated away from the games industry for about 2 years to go to virtual production. So
Hmm.
that was graphics based and sort of
Okay.
all the technology behind, doing live services for live shows and things like that.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
Um,
wicked.
yeah, that was definitely a cool experience. It was very different to games. Like the people and also the culture is very different, but yeah, so then I sort of moved out of that again, because I realized I am sort of more in the industry of games. Like it's obviously more fun by definition. There are people who are just a bit more like creative, interesting. There's
Yeah.
there's things going on that's just more fun to come into work to. So yeah, so I went back to sort of that area, and I got my job at Bob, and we were a really good team actually. I liked working for Bob. That was about 2.5 years. So all in all, about 6 years, around
Okay.
about, you know.
Nice.
Yeah, not including Disguise, which is virtual production stuff. So yeah, that's the situation. That's
Cool.
the
Right.
situation. Yeah.
Um, just going back, bringing it back to games for a second,
Yeah.
and kind of focusing a bit on your journey.
Hmm.
Um, this is going to sound like such a shit question, but it's a genuine, curious question that I have. What is your first memory, like your first video game memory?
Oh,
Yeah.
what a question.
The lovely thing about that is that my sisters loved playing games when they were younger. So my
Okay.
first experience was playing like Link's Awakening back on Game Boy Color, like with my sister, because it was the first time I ever played a game, but I only ever watched they would play in front
Yeah.
of me. I'd be like, "Can I play your game, please?" So that's one of my first memories. I think my sisters playing games was like a big influence for me, for sure.
And
So.
I guess at, obviously at that stage in your life, I assume you didn't know what you wanted to do.
Oh
But
no, I mean, no,
at what
not.
point were you like, actually, do you know what? I want to go and make video games.
I think weirdly, we went to Brunel, so me and Poetic went to Brunel, and there was a
Yeah.
games course there. So I met a lot of people who were doing the course and doing design and doing these things, and I was like, I love to draw in my spare time. That's like a creative outlet I like doing, and it
Oh,
was
yeah,
a
she's
really
an
nice
amazing
thing to.
artist.
No,
Oh, really?
thanks. I don't know.
Amazing,
I need to keep it up.
phenomenal,
I've been drawn in.
phenomenal.
I think
Thanks,
that the
dude. Yeah.
stars are aligning and we need a poem written by Poetic, illustrated by Hayley. I think that's what needs to happen right now.
Yeah, I'm up for that. That sounds good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be cool.
Yeah, I like that. That's sick.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was basically that. It was me being surrounded by people who were on the course, sort of doing their thing, interested in the sort of games design and I thought, well, obviously, we're doing maths. There's definitely a crossover there. I just needed to
Yeah,
figure out what that was. Um, so yeah, that was my sort of moment of going, oh, this could be a career.
Yeah.
I've got to figure out how to make it my career. And
yeah,
that was a different situation. I was patient to get there, I think.
okay.
Because you don't just obviously get into the games industry. The games industry is actually, I think, quite hard to get into. I was quite
Yeah,
lucky with the sort of people at Codemasters that that they weren't drummed down on you having to have a certain amount of experience in the games industry, these sorts of things. But I had my master's degree. I was obviously interested, and I think they took a little bit of a punt on me, and I ended up just, it really fitting and really working.
Nice.
So
yeah.
yeah, that was sort of the situation, really. Yeah, Brunel.
Sick.
Yeah.
And I guess since working in the gaming industry, I know you're a casual gamer at heart, but
Yeah.
has working in the games industry affected your gaming outside, like literally just gaming in your personal life?
To be fair, I think I'm quite lucky. I'm lucky, one, because my partner loves gaming, so he's a really good
Yeah.
influence for me to actually just sit down and be like, right, there's this new thing.
Yeah.
So let's go and sit down and try it. So that's super helpful. But I think because I'm sort of more the tech side, it doesn't affect me as much as, let's say, a designer would, or QA, or do you know what I mean? Because they have to play
Yeah,
it, they have to experience it every day. Whereas I'm more, you've got
tough
to make
job.
something work, right? Yeah. And
Yeah,
these are the technical things that should be working in this way. And then if they're not, I'll go and sort that out. And then it's like, well, that's a very small part of the bigger picture. And then when the bigger picture comes together, it's actually quite nice to see. It's like seeing
yeah,
the VFX and stuff come through in a film or something after you've made like the shot. I think it's quite
Yeah.
nice to see it like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
That is quite
yeah.
cool.
Can I just ask a
Mm.
quick question on
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Because
sure.
I work in a completely different industry to like my lives are separate work and creating and making content. But
Oh, cool.
I work with kids who are like have different learning difficulties and things like that. So I'll be watching TV shows and I'll be looking at stuff and going, that person's got ADHD, that person might have ASD. Do you find that with games where you're playing a game and a
Uh-huh.
character will like ragdoll and stuff, and you'll be a bit like, I could have done that better, or they've used this software, or I could have done the physics
um,
on that a bit better.
I'm very unjudgmental, but I think what's funny is like programming is a skill in itself, and
Yeah,
also doing your job is a skill in itself, if you see what I mean. It's a subset
yeah,
of like the whole
Yeah,
thing. So uh, I it's funny that I I wouldn't say I have judgment like that, but I definitely look at games where there's bugs and think, fucking hell.
yeah.
It's
Well, yeah, that could be fixed.
it's obviously not what it's about. You're supposed to clean it up and make it feel like it's a coherent experience that's not taken down by I don't know, stupid things that are potentially avoidable. But I understand the actual process of making a game and how chaotic it is,
Yeah.
and the
yeah.
amount of things that can happen in a day.
Mm.
Like the amount of things that can go wrong in a day.
Really, that's
It's a real battle, I think. So I have massive sympathy for it as well. So
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah, I get both sides. I get both sides for sure. Yeah.
cool.
Fair.
Um, gonna switch things up a bit, and
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
going to fire some hot take questions and try to get your opinion on a few things.
Yeah, sure.
So you don't have to answer. You don't have to answer this, but
I
I
think
really
one of
hope
these
you will.
questions was difficult.
Oh god.
What's your biggest gaming hot take that you feel might get you cancelled?
Yeah.
Ooh.
To put into
Oh, funny.
perspective, my
Yeah.
one is
Yeah.
I think Pokemon games, mainline Pokemon games, are
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, fair
Ooh.
enough. Okay. Okay. So what's controversial is what you're asking, really.
Yeah. What is a controversial take you have on gaming?
I think
What? I can't remember
there's a
what I said.
yeah. I think there's a few that I suppose there are sections of sort of the gaming community I don't get sometimes.
Okay.
Like for instance, live streaming talking about it. Sometimes I don't get that. That's
Okay.
quite controversial. Do you know what I mean? That is quite controversial because there's some fun to be had with it, but I also I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I should just play the game, be with my mates. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
get that.
Yeah.
Fair.
I get that.
So yeah,
Dan
maybe
live
that.
streams.
I do
Yeah.
live stream.
Yeah.
I'm taking it more from the thing that you're kind of saying is like, why would you like
Watch
watch
someone.
someone?
Yeah, when you can play
Whereas,
it or be with other people and
yeah,
play
yeah.
it.
The thing that I'm gonna have a debate with you here, and
Yeah, yeah, please do. No, no,
so
I'm interested. I want to know.
so the only thing I will say is what a lot of I know the people that I played live with or like I have in my chat while I'm live streaming, they will be playing a game whilst watching me. So they'll kind
Okay.
of be doing a little bit of
Oh,
both.
yeah, okay, I get
So
that.
I don't know whether that's a thing, but for the actual
Mm.
live streamer, for me, it's changed from like playing games for just for fun. Because
Mm-hmm.
if I was playing a game just for fun, I'd be here anyway with me monitors and the exact same. All my stuff is here, so I'm like, why not click that button and
Yeah,
chat to
yeah, fair
people as
enough.
well?
I can see that. That makes sense, you
Yeah,
know.
and make a little bit of money doing it as well. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough. Yeah.
Um, what is one gaming apart from, like gaming trend? Yeah. What is one gaming trend that uh you just hate?
I feel like this is obvious. The dancing in games pisses me off. That shit pisses me off. Like that, I emotes all the Gen Z shit. I hate it. I think it's so dead.
I'm with you, and I am Gen Z, so
All right.
I'm
So
fully with you.
Fair enough.
I've got a question then. Yeah, I've got a question.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
let's
yeah,
say you're working on a game, right?
yeah.
And they come to you and they're like, Hayley, we need you to do the physics for this dance thing.
Luckily, that's mocap and animation, so
Okay, cool.
that's not my
Okay.
problem. Yeah. Yeah, it's not my problem. I mean, I suppose that, yeah, if they ragdolled, it'd be different. Or if they had to interact with each other, different. But
She would ragdoll the shit out of
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
goes to Hayley. There was no ragdoll in the game. I don't care.
They're stuck in a pose, like
Yeah.
no one did anything.
um, all right, so like bringing it back to the industry and stuff.
Mhm.
What's one massive misconception that people have about the role you do? So, for example,
Yeah. It's,
um,
yeah.
like hearing you talk about, oh yeah, I do physics, right?
Hmm.
For me personally, as someone that has studied maths and all of this stuff,
Hmm.
that I've never associated that there would be physics in games. Obviously, there is, right? Like in
Hmm.
every game, but like it's
Yeah.
not an association that I've made.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's one massive misconception that people have?
I mean, I was going to come at this at a different angle in the sense that
No, yeah, go for it.
whenever I have a conversation with anyone about my job, they have literally no idea what I do. They can't even conceptualize what it is that it is. I mean, genuinely, but I mean, it's right on a broad mathematical like basis. It's just applying like uh just rules of physics, right? Like
Yeah.
all of the maths behind how physical objects move, and it's about prediction, and it's about I suppose numerical methods and things like that.
Yeah.
But on a non-technical standpoint, if someone was to come up to me, I'd say it's about working with the designer, about understanding what they need. It's about implementing that technical solution in terms of like how physically they want a car to move. Like for instance, the tires are very physical objects because of the material they are, the way that they react to the world, and
Yeah.
how it makes the car move. So every single detail and every single change in the way that the tire works on the road, or what road it is, matters. So we would say, okay, we want a feature. Okay, this is the feature. I would go into the code and basically say, right, where is this supposed to go? And then look at what we already have, and implement the version that the designer wants. And then it'd be a case of me going, does this work? Is this actually doing what it needs to do? Is it the right maths? Is it the right solution?
Yeah.
And then they would go test it, I'd go test it, make sure that technically it's working, make sure that physically it's working. And like as a designer, if the handling feels wrong, they'll be like, you've been so wrong. And then I basically, you QA it, you make sure it's optimized, you make sure it doesn't tank the frame rate. And then that's my job. That's my job in a nutshell. That's the situation. So misconceptions hard because no one knows what I do. Yeah.
That's quite cool though.
Yeah.
I like it.
I know we probably touched upon this before, but how do you balance, like, I guess, gaming in quotation marks at work versus gaming in your personal life? You mentioned that your partner is a massive gamer.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. It's super helpful for that. Like I get distracted by everything. I love doing everything, really. I'm such like but yeah, so he's great for finding new bits. I think it's that excitement that keeps me going and doing playing games. Really, is like
Yeah.
the idea of having like Game Pass and having whatever's coming up like that week. That's good shit. So I think it's that. I think it's just that it's time for us to be together and enjoy like each other's time, and I think that's
Yeah.
helpful. Whereas at work, it's like, I'll play the game to understand what's going on. It's more of a problem solving activity. Whereas when when I'm playing games with my partner, it's just us chilling out, exploring this new thing we found, and it's
Yeah.
just fun.
Yeah.
There's no pressure. We don't need to finish anything. There's no, you know what I mean. We can take it
Yeah.
as quickly or as slowly as we want. So fun.
So yeah, so a leading question then would be, and
Yeah.
like, I'm really curious if you've actually done this, right? Have
Okay.
you ever played a game you've worked on?
Oh yeah. I
Like
mean,
when it's come out?
to be fair, the most recent obviously is Mind Eye. Like I went and sat and I played that shit, and I know that that's slightly controversial in a way because I think once all of it went a bit off piste, let's say,
Yeah.
a lot of people obviously lost their motivation to even play it. They were like, this is just obviously shit. But do you know what? I really, it's a funny one. That game's a funny one because there are things I love about it and the things I hate about it. And
Yeah.
it was, I saw it coming, and I think a lot of people saw it coming before it happened as well. It was one of those things where I was like, either people are just going to look past some of these things and be like, this is really cool, I see the potential, or they're going to literally see the things that are wrong and go, this is obviously wrong. And I think the latter happened, and I was like, okay, fair enough. But I don't think that was unexpected. I think there were people who really did know that was going to happen. And people who'd been in the industry for a very long time as well. So when
Yeah.
they sort of were having we were having these conversations, it was a bit of a red flag to say it was not going to work out. But unfortunately, the situation is that it was badly managed. Actually, looking back at the way that the studio was sort of run, and it was a startup, but it's
Yeah.
pretending it was Fortnite. Do you know what I mean? Or like Epic Games, even. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think there was a massive there was a massive like inflated ego situation, thinking that this was already going to be big, and almost trying to manifest it to be bigger than it could possibly
Yeah.
be. And that was just like, you can't pull the wool over people's eyes, especially gamers. I mean, they're too passionate
No.
about what they they do. So
Yeah,
I think that was the
absolutely.
problem. Yeah, I think that was the problem. But yeah, I did play it, and I really like sections of it. I'm not gonna lie, I really do. But there are bits where you just wonder, like, is it because they didn't have time, or did they really genuinely think that poll was good? Like, that's what I wondered sometimes. But not whatever.
It's that's
Yeah.
it's a for me it's an interesting take, right? Because like not even with like putting Mind's Eye aside, right? Like if you look
Hmm.
at something like Concord, that was a massive failure. Not
Can you talk to me a bit about Concord? Because I don't think I've ever played that. I don't know what that.
okay, so
Yeah,
that's fine.
yeah.
So essentially, Concord was I guess PlayStation Sony's attempt at doing like a first person shooter, right? And they invested loads of money in it. And
Hmm.
the game itself was sound, right? It was a solid game. It just wasn't a great game. It was okay.
Yeah.
And they
Okay.
released it, and then within 2 weeks, they pulled it from store shelves. They refunded everyone, all of this stuff, right?
Hmm.
And it's quite interesting, like hearing you say that there was a sentiment from certain people at Build a Rocket Boy where you kind of knew that this game, parts of it was shit, and
Mm.
parts of it wasn't going to really cut through.
Well,
But
I wasn't. Yeah, yeah. Go, go, go. Sorry. Yeah,
no,
yeah,
but my question is like, what does the feedback loop? Obviously, you can only talk about the studios you've worked at, but
yeah, for
what
sure.
does the feedback loop look like, right? Like,
Hmm.
if there's a bunch of people that are saying like, actually, we don't think this works,
Hmm.
what does that look like to
I
the
mean, we would
directs?
do, we would do play tests and have the whole company sort of together, play testing. I think this is the issue with actually being remote at the time, was that you couldn't have conversations with people. Specifically, I would just mention what my point of view was in stand-ups or whatever meeting I'd have that day. But realistically, because I was tech side, it wasn't up to me. Right. I just could have an opinion on the situation and basically say, right, these bits felt right. Like they had sort of uh how would you explain it? Like a questionnaire at the end of our playtest of
Yeah,
basically, these specific areas and what you thought about specific bits. But yeah, I think weirdly, um it just we it just if we run out of time and money to actually get stuff done,
yeah. Okay,
and
I'll get that.
I wasn't in that space of design to know anything that was really going on there. That wasn't my area, and
Yeah,
I
of
quite
course.
liked that it wasn't, because like, one, design is always tricky in games. There's never been, I mean, I've only been to two game studios, or three now, but it's always a tricky situation working with designers, because their work is by definition a fluid thing. It's never going to be
Yeah.
stationary until the point where it actually gets shipped. I mean,
Mm.
really. So in that way, I have massive sympathy for designers, because they don't necessarily know, and in some senses, the way it is with creative stuff, to kind of work towards bettering and getting better, and thinking, okay, well, we have this vision, but how are we going to make it right?
Mm.
So yeah, I think there were just iterative processes that could have happened before it launched that didn't get the chance to happen. That's
Yeah.
my feeling of that. Um, but yeah, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I have thoughts about that, but then my thoughts like,
I can
Oh,
see you kind of like
yeah.
you're fighting to kind of like you want to say what you want to say, but then in the back of your head you're like, I still work for games companies. I need to be careful.
it's just, I think, to be honest with you, it's just, yeah, there's like a level of acceptance for the way that games companies run, I think, which is
Yeah.
that it's a big job, it's a massive
It is a
job
big job.
to
Yeah.
get all these parts that are moving working together. And so I sort of see how things can go wrong, or things can be
Yeah.
overlooked, and especially if there aren't necessarily people in the creative side that can get along to a point where they're all thinking in the same direction. I don't think that there was necessarily a problem with the vision, especially with Barb, especially with
Yeah.
Barb. I think there was more a problem with just ego, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
that's the vibe that I got. But I,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Like
It's
they almost put all of their eggs in one basket, and then it flopped, and you're a bit like, oh, what do we do now?
literally that. Yeah, yeah, it was that. It was very much like all go. And I respect that though. I like that sort of feeling of being like, we're gonna go all in and we're just gonna see how it goes. Because sometimes
Yeah.
it's good to be that bold. And I think
Yeah,
that's weirdly why I liked working for Bob, because it really was that bold. It really was like going, right, we're gonna do this crazy thing and we're gonna see if it works. And it's like, okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
sure,
No,
I'm here for
I
the ride,
respect that.
let's go, you know.
I respect that.
Yeah, yeah. So
Um. So a bit of more of a positive take, right?
yeah, yeah,
What is your proudest professional achievement right now
yeah.
to date?
Today, I think what's funny about this question, I was trying to think about it because I'm still fresh to the industry, really. And
Yeah.
I was thinking about it and I was like, there's been moments where I'm sat with veterans all the time from the games
mm,
Yeah.
industry. So I think that's really, at the moment, my proudest moment is talking to these people and learning from them and trying to sort of grasp all their experience because they've been in there since like their noughties, you know, like
Yeah.
the golden age of games they've been involved in. It's crazy, you
Yeah.
know, for EA, from Ubisoft, all these people are big deals in
yeah,
terms of like creating this whole infrastructure, literally, you know, the whole thing we know now has been
Yeah.
built from these people. So that's really, I think, where I'm proudest, because I'd say my work is to be a small cog in a big machine right now.
Yeah.
So I'm getting to a point where I'm probably, becoming potentially more senior at some point, and
yeah,
that would be a point where I'd be like, hey, this is a proud moment because I'm a bigger part of the system, and I'm the one making choices. Whereas, I mean, from my experience so far, I've been the smaller cog where I do the work that people have told me to do. So
Yeah.
in
I
that
get
sense,
that.
it's not something that I'm like, oh yeah, okay, it's okay, because it's like, yeah, it's sick, but it's also like I'm very small in the grand scheme of things, you know. Yeah,
um.
but if you didn't do your job, then the whole thing would fall apart. Like that
Yeah.
one smoke. Don't sell yourself short.
Yeah. And
yeah,
I
true.
mean,
If I did my job wrong, you'd see it.
Yeah,
That's for
yeah. I
real.
mean,
Yeah.
we would still have like racing games where, like, you can like drive through like a cow, but like when you hit a lamppost, like nothing, like the whole car
It's
stops.
dead. It's dead. Yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly.
um.
Oh
I guess.
god.
So from your perspective,
Hmm.
um, what is one hidden gem of a game that everyone should play?
I was thinking
Ooh,
about this because there's been quite a few really nice games that I played, I suppose, in the past. Like What Remains of Finch, even. That's a really
very
good
good game.
game. That's a really good game. And
Really, I've not
Stray, but
heard
I
of it.
don't think I don't think these are hidden gems, you know. They're quite open. People know
Yeah.
them. So I think hidden gems. I play a play date, and then there's this thing called White Water like Wipeout, and it's a surfing game. And
Okay.
so like what a play date is like this little console that has like a crank on it, and
Yes.
it
Yeah. I've seen
some
those. Yeah.
games use the mechanic of that crank, and this game is perfect because you play a little surfer and it's just like a mini game, but it's fucking great. It's so well done.
Yeah,
The mechanics are, perfect. It's so simple. It's silly. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah,
yeah.
I'd recommend
Okay.
that, definitely. Yeah.
I feel like games at the minute are kind of losing that touch of like. I feel like games nowadays are trying to be movies and trying to do all the storytelling when
Mhm.
sometimes you just want a game to be fun and stupid and
Yep.
silly and
Yeah.
just something you don't have to think about, especially as adults. I don't know about you, Haley, but I
Mhm.
find it really difficult nowadays to sit down and play a story based game just because
Yeah.
Mm,
of time constraints, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
really hard. That's one of the
Hmm.
reasons I started making content, so I could kind of dedicate a bit of time to it.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, exactly. No, I totally agree. I think it's really difficult to sort of it's like series, you know, you've got to sit down, you've got to really think, okay, right, every evening I'm gonna have this time so I don't
Yeah,
forget what
Yeah.
character I am, I don't forget the mechanics of the
yeah,
freaking, you know what I mean? Like
that's
there
it.
are times where I've loved a game and I've literally played through the majority of it and then I've ended because there's something, you know, life, right? And
Mm,
then
Yeah.
I come back to it and I'm like, I don't even remember the controllers and I'm literally about to do a boss battle.
yeah, that was me with Ghost of
You know what I
Tsushima.
mean?
Still
So
haven't
annoying.
finished it.
Oh, it
Oh,
really?
mate,
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
that's a
gotta
good
finish that.
game. Yeah,
Yeah,
fair
you
I
enough.
gotta
need
finish
to.
that.
I want to play Ghost of Yotei as well, but I haven't got around to Ghost of Tsushima yet.
This is probably a question that you're gonna have to like kind of answer in a roundabout way. But
Okay.
um, what have you seen that is coming in the next few years that you're most excited about?
I mean, that's a really interesting question because I think that there's a lot of things that are quite interesting about generally tech at the moment, not
Yeah,
necessarily a specific game, but I think a lot of people are trying to sort of incorporate sort of the chat GPT vibe into games and sort of make AI generated stuff. And I don't think that's necessarily exciting. It's almost a bit deadening, if anything. But
yeah,
it's interesting. And I sort of want things to be pushed into a weird area to see what creative stuff can come from it. But yeah, I mean, in terms like I think this is the actually the crux of having my partner be so into games is that I just chill out until something comes up. So a specific game, I actually don't have one, and I feel a bit shit saying that because you know, I wish I did.
no,
But yeah, there you
it's
go.
fine. Um, what is one gaming mechanic um that is deceptively hard to do? So, for
Yeah.
example, right,
Oh, what a
I
question!
know, I know, like playing dirt, for example, right,
Yeah, yeah.
like the crumpling and the damage on the cars looks sick, and it adds
So
so
sick.
much to the game,
Yeah.
but I don't know if that is really hard to do or if it's really easy.
It's very mathematical, I have to say. Like
Yeah.
with I'll say this for starts. I've never worked on that feature before. Just going to put my hands up,
Okay.
but I understand how it works because people from Codemasters have actually, you know, talked me through what's going on, and it's a really interesting sort of process of basically saying you've got different parts of the car that can crumple and can't crumple and
Yeah.
how far do they crumple and you know what are their limits and you know how do you stop things from sort of intersecting each other and things like that. But yeah, so I'd say if you understand the mathematics around how that works and creating those limits and making those sort of the topology of it move in the right way, then
Yeah.
it's not that hard. I think the hardest part of games is always things that are dependent on other things. So, like camera
Okay.
work, for instance, because that's to do with sort of the handling and also just graphics and everything to do with how the game looks and how it feels is the camera. So, like, whenever we've
Okay.
had you know that happens and that comes up a lot is like camera issues and trying to get things working as they were before because something else has changed. It's always things that are dependent on each other. So features like crumpling or physical changes like that, it's quite nicely separated from other
Okay.
stuff to an extent. I think when it yeah, so when it comes to like graphical side, that's when it becomes difficult. So like you can get all the crumpling working physically right, but how it
Yeah.
looks, will it look right? Will there be clipping? What falls off when? You know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's sort of the nice and the not nice thing about using Unreal Engine or you know, bespoke engines or whatever is that you have those limitations. So for instance, Unreal Engine might have a great system for crumpling that we just need to add to, you know.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then, you know, there'll be other things like, I don't know, God, maybe something VFX related that's more difficult because it's specific to Unreal and they want to do it in a
Yeah.
different way. You know, it's that sort of thing that's deceivingly difficult. It's more the dependency on the tech and how that actually works and trying to make it work in the best way, without it interfering with other things, because you can quite easily make a system that is dependent on so many things, and then once you start doing that, you have a bit of a nightmare of making changes. So
Okay.
like, you know, even the smallest design change could be like, that's not going to happen, not in a
Do you,
day.
do you
Yeah.
know what? You saying that, right? So I played well, I have been playing Donkey Kong Bonanza, right?
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
one of the things that really annoyed me was the camera, right? And I was like, in my head, I was like, surely that's one of the simplest things to do,
You
right? Just
thought you
yeah,
thought,
but
but
like
it's not.
hearing that it makes complete sense. Okay.
Can I
Um,
just
Yeah.
go back to the? I've got kind of like a two-part question with the
sure.
crumpling. One, Hayley, have you ever seen the game? And I think it's called BeamNG Drive.
Yeah. Yeah. That's got
That
great physics in it.
that
That's like the
game
staple. Yeah.
has. Have you ever played it, Poetic?
No.
So, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Hayley, but it's
Mhm. Yeah.
the physics are like so good that you can there's a literal button to press slow mo, and the car will crumple exactly. And you know how in most games where the car will crash into a wall and the glass will just smash.
Yeah.
Well, if you go into a wall at a certain speed, the glass will kind of like splinter. And then
Yeah.
if you go into it more, it'll actually smash. And I just think
Yeah.
that it's so just I don't know how they've done it. It's I look at that game and I'm like, this would take my entire lifetime to figure out how to move a wheel. Like it's ridiculous. But another question that I had was you were saying about like how long it might take or different engines and things and if a change happens you might have to change things on your end. So
Mhm.
the example that I'm thinking of is GTA 5. Obviously, when that came out PS3, that was all third person and the crumpling was set and the physics were all set. When it went to PS4, they added the first person camera. Would that change kind of affect you in any way to kind of have the physics on the inside of cars and
No,
would that
luckily,
not be you?
because
No?
yeah, no, luckily not. That would be mainly art. So anything to do with sort of camera perspective changing,
Mm.
I was thinking more mechanically. So like the way it moves, if you know split
Yeah.
an input and things like that.
Yeah.
But actually placing the camera perspective stuff, that's just art. You know, they just
Yeah.
need to put it in the right place basically. And it's all the input stuff that makes things a bit trickier
Yeah.
because of the way it interacts with the player, whether it intersects things. Like there are so many things that can go wrong. Um, so yeah, so when it comes to the physics, it's sort of like it's a totally separate system to everything else. So the physics is
Okay.
literally on a separate thread. And if you do programming, you understand what I mean. But it
Yeah.
basically means that it's processed separately. So
Yeah.
you have a whole world that's physically represented behind the scenes that
Mm.
isn't to do with, you know, rendering, you know, any
Yeah.
of the other stuff. So when you have BeamNG, which is the staple for physics for vehicles, really. It when they're doing the crumpling section, they're basically doing all the physical stuff for this mesh and representing that as a physical thing. So wherever the camera is, doesn't matter because
Yeah.
that is
Okay.
like in itself its own thing. See what I mean?
Yeah.
I,
Yeah,
I I love when you mentioned that game. Haley's immediate thing was fantastic physics.
it is.
Uh,
It no, it is. It
it's what
really
it's
is.
known for.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It came out with like, and I might be wrong saying this, but it came out with like a tech demo, and it was literally like what you would kind of see in Unreal Engine. We just kind of you've got the car, you've got the assets. There was no scenery, no trees, no road, no nothing.
Yeah.
And but it had a ramp. Then it'd have like a massive hammer. So you could just you. I remember the first time I played it, I looked at the hammer. and was
Yeah.
like, I'm driving my car under the hammer and seeing what happens. And
Yeah.
I remember looking at it, and I think my mouth hit the floor because like. And bear in mind, this game came out. I want to say at least 8 years ago. like
It's
the
been an
tech demo
interesting
came
one.
out.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting one because people have, it's a passion project for these
Oh
people
god, yeah.
where they've
Yeah.
gone into it going, we're going to make the most physically accurate representation of what vehicles and their physics is like. And
Yeah.
so when
Yeah.
it came to doing this tech demo, I think they hit on something that everyone else is interested in. And then all of a sudden they could take their time because,
Yeah.
you know, and that's what
Yeah.
was so good about it is they got sort of the interest of people who are like real physics car nerds and basically
Yeah.
went, yeah, let's see what else you can do. And they you know, they didn't overcomplicate it, which is what it's about. Well, I
No.
mean, I say they didn't overcomplicate it. I mean, they made the full physical representation of a car, but
Yeah.
but you know what I mean. They stuck to the actual facts of what that's like and didn't
Yeah.
try to make it anything more than that, which I like.
Yeah.
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 Was there a little bit of when that game came out? Because obviously, around that time, I imagine you were kind of like starting to think, "Oh, I want to get into this," or you might have been already working on physical stuff. Was there a little part of you that kind of went, "For fuck's sake, like this is so
No,
good.
no,
How am I
no.
gonna get this good?"
No, if anything, I think I have an appreciation for it.
Yeah.
Even back in the day for small games, you know, like when they had really good physics, I just loved that. I just
Yeah.
thought it was really cool. So it's never like, oh God, I've got to compete with this. It's more
Yeah.
just like you can learn from these people who have done it better than you, like, you know,
Yeah. Like
and
share that
just
space.
Yeah.
yeah, and understand why it's so good, and you
Mm.
know, it's all about learning how to represent something properly,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's the aim really. Unless you really do have just a gamified arcadey version of a car, which is like,
Mm.
you know, Mario Kart or whatever,
Yeah.
then you know you don't need to think about those details, but you've got to look at both ends, right? What works in both situations and why
Mm.
are they so
Yeah.
successful? And it's not about like, oh, got to be on this level now. It's like
Yeah.
let's try and make something that's unique, really, and also just fun to play. And if it's fun to play, then they're doing something right.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Um. So leading on that and like looking at other people's work and all of that stuff, what is something that what is a solution that potentially you or your team have come up with to something that probably seemed impossible?
Mm. Well, I mean, this was a hard question. I think what's so difficult about it is that there are problems that come up repeatedly. Like
Yeah.
the game's dev cycle is basically battling the same problems that come up every time and
Yeah.
being like, oh God, we've got to figure out a solution in this particular way, or you know, so yeah, that's a difficult one. I don't know if I have a particularly good answer for it because of sort of my menial role of you know, because my role is working with designers and they say, oh, this is what we need, this is how it should
Yeah.
feel. Is my job is basically to go, okay, I've got to implement what you're asking, and then you know you try it out, and then if it works, right? So it's, I don't know how to explain that, but that I feel like I'm missing ideas that I probably have experienced. I can't
Yeah,
think of
no,
them right now.
that's that's fine. I mean, um I guess to help you, was there ever a designer has a designer ever come up to you and been like, oh, I want to do this, and you're like, that is fucking sick. I don't know if I can do it. But then you've ended up doing it.
I mean, I suppose this is what's weird about working with sort of vehicle handlers is that there's a specific way to handle cars and there's a
Yeah.
specific way things should move. And I think that if they were going to come up to me and be like, okay, well, I suppose one of the features that never got made was like trailers at the back of so like, you know, you have your vehicle and then whatever trailer or thing at the
Yeah.
back of your car. So that would have been a fun thing to do, but it's hard work to get shit like that working.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, that's like, it was a shame to be like, oh, that's not going to happen because, you know, but yeah, and then I think, yeah, it's a shame to not get that working really, but oh well.
Well,
Little missed opportunities rather than anything else,
yeah.
but yeah.
Um, and I guess probably last question from myself is
Yeah.
for someone that would like to get into uh, the gaming industry, uh,
Mhm.
what advice would you give them?
I think be prepared to get really technical, or like I suppose because this is my role, I think of it like this, where
Yeah,
you've got to really love how computers work and understand the hardware, software, and sort of really want to understand it.
yeah,
I mean, C++ is the go-to if you're going to get into games, C sharp potentially, that sort of thing. To understand these programming languages is like fundamental, really.
okay,
So in that sense, yeah, it's a you don't just walk in going, okay, I know everything now. It's about really understanding the process of creating games in in the language you learn.
yeah,
So yeah, I think that's what's tricky about it, is like you got to know that what you're going into is uh one, you're surrounded by people who have done their whole lives, and
yeah,
two, you got to know that it's not a walk in the park.
yeah.
You
No,
don't just play
definitely.
games. Yeah, you don't just play games all day. It is a battle of like, oh, this bug's come up again. How do I fix this? Why has this happened? Oh. So yeah, like I think for someone who's thinking of getting in the tech side, obviously computer science and maths, just make sure that you want to learn, and you want to be involved in sort of creating with people. I think it's hard to get programmers that want to cooperate with other people, because it's a very solitary thing usually. So
Yeah,
my advice to anyone who wants to get in the games industry is to talk to people and be open with sort of having conversations, and make sure that you're not just cutting yourself off to do a task or something like that. You got to know who you're affecting when you're doing it, or if you're affecting anyone else and you're doing it. So that's, yeah, that's a big deal.
oh,
But yeah,
nice.
on the creative side, I mean, I suppose I don't necessarily know too much about it, but I suppose it's more just about, you probably, yeah, creating a certain amount of portfolio and making sure that creatively you're doing as as much work technically probably as sort of, drawing or arts potentially.
I've I've got a question. Sorry,
Yeah,
that just popped into my head.
yeah, go on.
So I know I've known you for a decade now, probably more.
Yeah, brilliant.
I know how good you are at art, right? Like this is a genuine question. I'm genuinely curious. Have
Yeah.
you ever thought or ever tried to like give your hand to design a part of the game?
I know how hard it is.
Yeah.
I look
No,
at these
I
people
appreciate that, but
and but you know what? I haven't. No, I haven't. I think because I yeah, I think when I do art, I don't do it for other people really. If it is, it's
yeah,
for a present. Like I'll draw for people for their birthday or something like that. I rarely do it because I
my
am
birthday's coming
trying
up.
to do it. Is it? Oh, okay. Yeah, right. Think about it.
That was
Um,
very quick. I like
yeah,
it.
that's very quick. But I think in that sort of environment where there's people judging your stuff, and
Yeah,
there's a lot of scrutiny, and people are never quite happy with what you've done. I don't think I'd
yeah, yeah. No, I
survive,
get that.
honestly. I don't
I
think I'd
get that.
survive. Yeah.
Mm.
No,
And
I
plus,
get
I
that.
mean, I know how to draw. Like I feel very happy drawing, but when it comes to sort of digital 3D modeling and things like that, I have no idea, like I know to an extent, I know how it's done, like I know the process, but actually doing it, I don't know.
Yeah, no,
So yeah.
I get that. Dan, do you have any?
There's one that's kind of been like on my mind, but I've been trying to figure out how to get it in and segue it into the
Yeah,
podcast. So I was
go
asking
ahead.
now.
Yeah.
So some of my favorite games are, I think it's like becoming a little bit of a genre now called like physics-based games.
Okay.
So kind of like Fall Guys. There's a game called Half Sword. I don't know whether you've
I
seen that
actually
one.
haven't heard of that.
So
Half
it's
swords.
essentially it's like a gladiator thing, and you play as a guy, but the whole thing is about if you slice a sword at him with like a little bit of strength, it's gonna cut him. If you do a full strength, it's gonna like
Ah,
chop his head
okay.
off. And
Yeah,
but
cool.
like all of the like the arm movement is done like with your mouse, so you are literally doing the sword movement.
Oh, I see what you're
So,
saying.
but I'm going off on a tangent now. My kind of question to you is, what's your kind of your general opinion of games that are the physics is like the bread and butter of that game? Like without the physics, it wouldn't have a leg to stand on, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think as humans, when we're like either creating or playing a game, there's something instinctive about it. You
Mm,
know, where like anything, even like the most basic stuff like chess, there's a reason why we do it. There's
yeah,
a tactical understanding of what the point of doing that thing is. I think physics is
Yeah.
the easiest way to have that instinctive like understanding of whatever you're playing, and also to feel like you're engaging those things that are instinctive within you. So I
yeah,
think that's why it's more of a fundamental thing, which I appreciate.
yeah,
And I don't think will ever go away. I still think you can make games that obviously, don't have physics and are successful for the same reasons, like in terms of like, it hits on something that we as people need to sort of get engaged to it,
Yeah.
you know to
mhm,
understand where we're coming from in the world, and also to understand how competitiveness might come into play, like people love that stuff, so
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think physics is the easiest way for it to not necessarily be like a competitive specific thing. It's
yeah.
like a fundamental thing that humans love to interact with, to understand a bit more about how they interact with the world. Do you know what I mean?
No,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that answer. That was
Yeah,
brilliant.
I think that was perfect. Don't think you could have answered that any better. Fair play.
That's
No,
okay.
that was brilliant. I, and this is a cheeky question for me, right?
Oh God.
Have you
You've
ever
already
played a
said a few.
game? Have you ever played a game and you're like, you don't have to mention the game. I just yes or no.
Mhm.
Have you ever played a game and you were like, for fuck's sake, that's not how that physics should work.
I mean, there's been a few card games. I mean, for real,
Really?
like that. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, like some games aren't made specifically for the physics, and
Mm,
so
Yeah.
it will fall flat. And yeah. So I don't know. I think I'm more. I am more sensitive to it. It's like watching a film and seeing sort of CG look stupid, like the physics in CG. Do you know what I mean? It just is
Yeah,
obviously taking you out of the experience on some level. But
yeah,
I think the funny thing about doing physics is that there aren't a lot of physics programmers, because most people that come into games have done like an undergraduate in computer science, and
yeah,
it's not part of their course really, and most
yeah,
people are interested in sort of the gameplay side, and graphics, or more heavy on the computer science. So when it comes to physics, like to get a full set of people to do each aspect, and physics as well, is like, sometimes it's not necessary. Sometimes it's like, well, we can't find someone, it doesn't matter.
Fair.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I
no,
mean, of
that makes
course,
sense.
yeah, of course. I mean, if it's like the crux of it, I can't even think of a game where specifically they were like physical, like Rocket League or something, because they do good job
Yeah,
with physics, obviously. But I'm trying to think of something that's similar, that's actually using physics and do a good job. But nothing's come to mind, luckily.
that's good. That's good. That means that all that means is that
Yeah.
I'm just shit, right? And the physics are good. I'm just terrible at the
yeah.
game. That's fine. That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
I'm
Um,
so glad I got that recorded. Got it in
Well, it's
writing.
like gameplay, isn't it? It's gameplay physics rather than, yeah. So fair
um,
enough.
well, I guess Hayley, this is your opportunity to, either plug any socials, plug yourself, tell us
Yeah.
whether the PS6 is worth getting or not.
I've never plugged myself ever, so let's see. Yeah, so I don't know. I suppose I work for Lighthouse Games now, so we'll be bringing out a game probably. I don't know when specifically. I suppose we're early days still, but yeah, yeah, it'll be a very cool driving game. So, you know,
Cool.
there's my
Can
plug.
I'll keep a
cool.
lookout
Can
for it.
I? Yeah, and so I've been asking Hayley to sign my video games that she's worked on. I expect you to sign this new one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Do you know what? Yeah. Fuck it.
Okay, good,
Okay, cool.
cool. All right. Um, I'm gonna let Dan close off this episode. Put you on the spot.
Okay, am I doing am I doing that as
Yeah,
well? Oh God, this is the
yeah.
first time that this is a special one. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the episode, guys. You can find us on YouTube and Spotify now. So if you listen or watch them, we always appreciate you. Thank you again, Hayley, for spending the
Yeah.
best part of an hour with us and chatting to us
Thank you
about
so
what
much.
you do and
No
taking time
problem.
out your busy schedule. But yeah, guys, as always, happy
Happy
gaming.
gaming.
Happy gaming.